Holland Christian Medium Talk presents
Kids These Days!
Hey everybody, this series is all about formation, specifically how the formation of faith happens in the life of a young person. Even more specifically, how we as a school can partner with you, families, in that process. In today's episode, we'll get to hear some of the heart behind Steven Curtis Chapman's music. But before we do, I want to take a quick moment just to think about music's role in that process of formation. I am always amazed by the power of a song. A song has the unique ability to articulate and express in a really captivating way. A song can engage a listener in the realm of cognition as well as reflection and imagination all at the same time. It's a far more experiential thing than just taking in some facts or bullet points. In the first episode of this series, Sarah Cohen Johnson talked about repurposing everyday moments for discipleship with our kids. And one way to do that is through music. I've been amazed even just this semester driving my kids to school, the kind of conversations we've been able to have because of a song. So before we talk with Steven Curtis Chapman, I just wanted to throw that out there. It's something that most of us know. We can probably even point to songs that played an important part in our own formation, but to kind of bring that to the forefront. And I want to encourage you specifically in a few ways. First, share a song or songs that are important to you, as well as the moments or stories or insights you experienced behind those songs. And this certainly does not have to be some big fancy conversation either. I have a little girl who right now really loves horses. And so knowing Steven Curtis Chapman was going to be in town, I played the song The Great Adventure for her, truly just because it says saddle up your horses at the beginning, and I knew she'd get a kick out of that. But the lyrics continue to say, we've got a trail to blaze through the wild blue yonder of God's amazing grace. Let's follow our leader into the glorious unknown. This is the life like no other. This is the great adventure. You're welcome. I didn't sing it for you. But Emmy, after hearing this song, said, why is following Jesus like an adventure? And we had a really cool, pretty short, but cool conversation prompted by this song. This goes both ways. We're not just sharing songs with our kids, but also inviting our kids to share music with us. That can be songs that they're hearing at school or learning in chapel. So just some thoughts before we listen to this conversation. So Steven Curtis Chapman was here back in April. We were incredibly fortunate. Some of you maybe were at the Living Stones lecture. Just shortly before he went on stage, he and I were able to talk, and I was able to ask him just a few questions about some of his own journey. Steven Curtis Chapman is the most awarded artist in Christian music history with 59 Dove Awards, 5 Grammy Awards, an American Music Award, and a historic 50 #1 singles. He's sold more than 16 million albums with 10 gold or platinum albums to his credit. But we didn't talk about any of that, to be honest with you. I asked him a question that I love to ask about why are you so captivated by this Jesus guy, and why, after this long, extensive career, are you still singing about the journey of faith and life with Jesus? Here's what he has to say.
It's a great question. And, I think as we go on in our journey, it's an interesting, different answers will develop, over years. In the beginning, I was an 8-year-old boy when I first came to faith, and I remember then it was a very clear. I'd seen a real transformation happen in my family around faith, and my parents, who were great people but kind of a mess, and just a lot of baggage, and it didn't make any of that go away magically, but it kind of gave a relationship with Jesus, gave us an anchor that we didn't have in our home, my brother, me, mom, and dad. And so I was very drawn to that just from the outside. And then it was within months of my parents really committing their lives to Christ that a very clear sense of Jesus knocking at the door. It was the preacher's words were, Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock, and if anyone will open the door. And I remember very profoundly in that moment, sensing, feeling, Jesus knocking at the door of my heart. And so I think right out of the gate, I was captivated by, the fact that Jesus is real and really interested in me, and is coming to knock at the door of my heart, not just my family, not just my church, but specifically to me, and was inviting me into a intimate relationship with himself. As that scripture would go on, if anyone opens the door, I will come in and, sup with him was the, original. And I tell a joke that, when my pastor first said that, I was a little thrown, by what that word meant. And I was like, okay, he lost me. I don't know what's going to happen right now. And I would eventually, he would explain it's to have a meal. It's the word for, a meal. And you begin to look in how many places, Jesus, there was always a meal. There was always relational side of, it was not a side of it. It was Jesus wanting relationship, inviting people into a relationship with himself, and which would then obviously transform everything about their life, this life and the life to come. And so that was, I think for me, immediately was the relational Jesus that wanted a relationship with this 8-year-old ADD kid that was just kind of wandering around, and the sense that he really saw me and knew me and wanted me to know him, and so that was really what I think inspired me and compelled me to even write songs and do what I started doing in high school. I continued on the journey of following Jesus. Thankfully, again, family and people around me, older brother, friends, good youth group, good church community, and really community of friends and of faith, friends of my shared faith that would be an encouragement to me. And so even when I started writing songs, it was, how do I make this real for others, as real as it is for me? And how do I really make it real to myself? I read a scripture and it can feel very distant and kind of antiquated, and I can't relate to all the language that's being talked there about
all the steps.
Yeah, right. And so, but it was real, and as Jesus became more and more real to me in my life, then that's, I think, really what inspired me to begin even writing music. As a kid, the first song I wrote actually was kind of case in point was, people would often tell me, you have talent. God has given you a lot of talent. And so, use it for him. And I remember hearing probably in Sunday school or youth group or something, the parable of the talents. The master calls 3 servants in and he goes away. He says, all right, I'm going to give one of you 5 talents, 3 talents, one gets 1, and I'm going to take off. And when I, see what happens when he comes back, and we all know the story if we've heard it, read it, the one with 5 goes out and makes 5 more talents, measurements of whatever that is, of whatever he was entrusted, he doubled it. The other one with a little less, but still entrusted with something from his master, he goes and doubles it and stewards it well, I guess, is the understanding I had. And the one with the 1 goes and hides it, and, whether that's out of fear or laziness or whatever. And so, as the story unfolds, it's the one who has been entrusted and then goes and uses what, the master has entrusted to him, that is, told, well done, good and faithful servant. And that was my very first song. I was probably 15 years old, and I wrote a song called Well Done, and it was really around that scripture, because that was real to me. That was, this is something I can relate to. I don't know really what a talent is in that context, but when people tell me you have talent, it's kind of like, oh, that kind of speaks to me. If God's entrusted me talents, whether it's 1, 3, 5, I don't know what the measurement is. I didn't consider myself the most talented kid around. My brother was the talented one actually growing up, but I had music in me, and I had, guitar was kind of my thing. And so I remember even then saying, I want this, I want to use these gifts God's given me. that was my first song, which in a way was a mission statement. I didn't even know what a mission statement was probably for my life at that point. Never heard of that concept, but as I look back, that really in many ways was. That was me beginning even then to say, God, let me use these gifts that you've entrusted to me in a way that you would be honored and pleased with how I steward, what you've given me. And so I think all these years later now, I've been on that journey of following Jesus for, if I was 8, it'd be about 3 years, so it's been awesome. It's been a journey, and amazing beyond anything I could have ever imagined blessings, and then loss, sadness, grief, devastation, beyond anything I ever could have imagined as well. And now, through all of that, there is only one thing, and I think the further you go in life, you begin to really realize all the things that I might have put my hope and trust and faith in, found my purpose and meaning in, is there's only one that can sustain us through all of life, the valleys, the mountains, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that is Jesus, and that's a relationship with Jesus, and that's what for me now is still so compelling, and what draws me to want to know him more and continue to inspire me to write songs, even still to write songs about where he shows up in very real and tangible ways in my life and in the lives of others around me, and kind of invites me in to know more of who he is.
And that's what you do so well, Steven. Can I call you Steven, or do I have to say Steven Curtis
Curtis
Chapman
say
every
Steven,
time?
Brother.
Okay,
It's all right. You have full permission. Yeah. What do I call this guy? No. Steven's good, brother.
Wow, I feel pretty honored. You do that so well of taking the real, authentic, personal relationship you have with Jesus and then articulating it in a way that I think, I don't know, I would have said it this way, but that's it. That's and when I hear your work, and that's pretty incredible to get to do. And I get the honor of introducing you later on this evening.
Oh,
but
great.
That's something I'm jealous of as well. I've been a teacher for 10 years. I taught Bible for years, and
yes.
I would, we'd spend 16 weeks working towards an idea, hoping my students understand something or experience something. And then they'd come in and say, I heard this song. And I'd think, oh boy, in 3.5 minutes, that accomplished what I've been
spent
trying
16 weeks and this guy comes along with a 3-minute song.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
So I'm a little jealous.
Hey, it's working together, it's a, we gotta, we just throw out the seeds, and then you water, and it all works together. But that's hilarious. I could see that. Yeah.
Well, that's what's so cool about a song. Even just, I'm not a neuroscientist, but all the ways it connects in a person's brain, cognitively, but also emotionally and imaginatively, and that's I have been formed by your music, and I just want to say thank you for all your many investments in articulating the life of faith in every season of faith. So,
yeah, thank you, Bryant. Bless you, brother.
Thanks so much. Thanks
That's
for
awesome.
being with us this evening.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for tuning in to today's conversation. I'm Bryant Russ, the director of Faith Formation, wishing you and your family a happy summer season ahead. And of course, go Maroons.